Welcome, defenders of truth and seekers of justice, to a crucial new edition of Secrets Behind the Stars. In the glittering yet merciless universe of Turkish showbiz, fame is both a crown and a target, and tonight we find ourselves at the center of a storm that has rattled screens, feeds, and hearts. The past few days have turned the spotlight into a magnifying glass over one of the most beloved figures in the industry, Elçin Sangu, who has found herself under a relentless digital barrage. But this isn't a tale of collapse. It's a story of unexpected valor. Barış Arduç has stepped forward, broken his silence, and sent a lightning bolt through the swirling clouds of rumor. His words didn't just echo, they redirected the entire conversation. Before we wade into the eye of this tempest, gather close, family of Secrets Behind the Stars. If you believe loyalty still matters, if you want the narratives that shape reputations to be told with nuance and courage, then subscribe, tap that bell, and show some love to this video. For those who wish to stand shoulder to shoulder with us in championing ethical storytelling, the join button is your front row seat to everything that truly counts. Now, take a deep breath and step with me into the storm. For days, the entertainment world has hummed with toxic static. The accusations against Elçin didn't grow out of verified information or credible reporting. They sprouted in the shadowy corners of the timeline, incubated by whispers, and then were hurled forward by an audience primed for outrage. What began as a quiet hint about supposed professional friction on a past project morphed into a messy, frenzied smear. Suddenly, her discipline, integrity, and attitude were all on trial in the court of public opinion, where the judge has no face and the verdict lands long before the defense enters the room. Yes, there was talk, so much talk. Anonymous claims of tensions on set. Hushed insinuations about blurred professional boundaries. Murmurs that she was difficult, that she demanded too much, that she pushed too far. We've heard this chorus before, almost always directed at women who dare to stand tall in an industry built on fragile egos and fleeting moments. And Elçin chose silence. Not apathy, not retreat, dignified, strategic silence. She refused to fight shadows by swinging at air. But to a crowd hungry for drama, her restraint was read as surrender. Rumors swelled, posts multiplied, the swarm grew louder, and a bright career, crafted through years of grit, was forced to share the frame with careless speculation. Just when the noise seemed unstoppable, a figure stepped out from behind the curtain of patience and restraint and stamped a boundary line into the digital ground. Barış Arduç had had enough. His response wasn't a sterile note fired off by a legal team. He faced cameras, lights, and eager microphones at a recent event, and he made a choice: no dodging, no drama, just facts and conviction. With that collected calm audiences know so well, he spoke with a clarity that sliced straight through the fog. I have known Elçin for years, he said, voice grounded, gaze unwavering. Not as a distant colleague, not as a passing co-star, but as someone who has watched her craft grow, day by day, through both applause and exhaustion. He didn't mince words, most of the stories floating about had no solid ground. He described her as profoundly respectful, obsessively prepared, a consummate professional who never asks from others what she isn't willing to give herself. Every inch of her success, he reminded the crowd, came from relentless work, not easy doorways or whispered favors. And then came the line that settled like a stone at the bottom of the lake. It is heartbreaking, he said, how easily people toss around serious claims, as if reputations were disposable props. Here at Secrets Behind the Stars, we applaud his courage. It's effortless to celebrate someone when the world is clapping with you. It takes a different kind of backbone to lock your stance when the wind is howling the other way. Tell us, do you think the industry needs more voices like Barış, willing to speak up when silence would be safer? Or do you believe ignoring bad faith noise is the only antidote to trolls? Drop your verdict in the comments, and if this nuanced, human look at a complex moment matters to you, consider leaving a super thanks to support the work behind the words. Perhaps the most striking part of Barış's appearance wasn't only his defense of Elçin, it was the mirror he held up to all of us. He delivered a quiet but cutting critique of the online pile-on machine, that ruthless cycle where unverified fragments snowball into headlines and then into indelible public memory. He reminded the press and the public alike that reputation is built grain by grain but can be shaken apart in hours by a few reckless posts. People deserve a chance to answer, he stressed, but we shouldn't let impatience pretend to be justice. We must keep our cool and think before we amplify. Those words reverberated through gossip circles like a warning bell. They weren't only about protecting a friend. They were a message to an industry that thrives on urgency. In a world dripping with competition, success can attract misreadings, insecurities, even envy. Barış pointed out, without theatrics, that sets are pressure cookers, that misunderstandings happen, and that a job built on emotion and timing can't be neat every day. But none of that, he argued, justifies turning small scuffs into demolition tools. Let's be honest, blows like these often carry more spectacle than substance, and it's unfair when they're inflated beyond recognition. Behind the scenes, relief washed over those close to Elçin after his words landed. The temperature dropped. The frantic pace of speculation slowed. A source close to her confided that what Barış offered wasn't just defense, it was a calm hand reaching through a storm. While whispers suggest she's preparing a measured, official statement, they also indicate she's choosing caution over noise, ensuring her legal rights remain protected and her next moves reflect the career she's fought to shape. And with his intervention, she gains something invaluable: time. Time to speak on her own terms. Time to be heard not as a headline, but as a person. It also cast a new light on the bond between them. Barış and Elçin have crossed paths on projects that left marks on pop culture, with chemistry that fans still debate years later. They never needed to parade their loyalty, it lived quietly in professionalism, in respect, in a steady line of communication that never sought confetti. In that light, his stance becomes something more than public support. It becomes a testament to years of trust, to collaboration that survives changing seasons, to a promise that says, I see you, I know your work, and I will not let distortion stand unchallenged. And the effect? Immediate. Conversations shifted. The infamous comments sections, the places where narratives are tried and conclusions are drafted at light speed, suddenly took a breath. Are we too quick to judge? Are we mistaking impatience for insight? If those questions weren't already thrumming beneath the gossip, they are now. Barış reminded everyone that visibility is a blessing and a burden. When you're loved by millions, even a murmur can explode into a crisis if honesty and composure aren't given room to work. So where does this leave us? All eyes tilt toward Elçin's next move. Will she step forward with legal action against those who helped the spark catch fire? Or will she choose to let time and her consistent body of work do the convincing? What's certain is that, thanks to Barış's stance, the crowd is no longer waiting with torches. They're leaning in with curiosity, ready to listen. And to everyone watching this unfold, that shift, from condemnation to consideration, can change everything. There was something else in his demeanor that shouldn't be missed. A quiet code. A promise that being a gentleman has little to do with performance and everything to do with presence. It's not about dramatic speeches. It's about arriving when it matters, standing still when it's easier to leave, and saying, with actions as much as with words, that the line ends here. Not on my watch. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He drew a boundary so clear the noise had to step back. The entertainment world is buzzing tonight, but it buzzes differently. The narrative has edges and nuance now. The story isn't simply accusations and fallout. It's a testament to loyalty, to restraint, to hard-earned reputation, and to the way one voice, used with care, can alter a crowd's tempo. If you've been with us long enough, you know we don't glorify conflict. We examine it. We remember there are human beings behind the characters that light up our screens. And in this case, that human reality matters more than the trends cycle ever will. We'll be right here when Elçin speaks. We'll bring you her words and the context they deserve. We'll hold the line against the easy spin, and we'll keep our promise to tell the human story first. Until then, we invite you to keep the conversation thoughtful in the comments. Did Barış do the right thing by stepping in? Should more colleagues take that risk when they know the person behind the headlines? Or is silence still the strategy that kills the rumor mill? Tell us what you think. Your insight shapes this community more than any algorithm. If this deep dive resonates, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video so the full picture reaches more people than the fragments do. And remember, your Join membership isn't just a badge, it's a lifeline for careful storytelling in a loud, impatient age. To everyone who's already part of that circle, thank you for believing in this mission and keeping the lights bright where it counts. Tonight, we close with a reminder. Fame will always be part glitter, part grit. It will always tempt the world to speak first and verify later. But loyalty, quiet, steady, courageous, still has the power to change the ending. Barış showed that a measured truth, spoken at the right moment, can stand taller than 1,000 careless echoes. The storm hasn't passed, not yet. But its path has changed. And for now, that makes all the difference. We are secrets behind the stars, and we will be here when the next chapter lands, ready to listen, ready to balance, ready to tell it as carefully as it deserves. Thank you for joining us in this defense of dignity, this celebration of steadiness under pressure. Until next time, and secrets behind the stars.